Welcome back, everyone. Betska, the Guru Coach, with co-host Raj Vashisht, and our guest today is Hemant Jain from Dubai. He's currently in Kuwait, but he hails from Mumbai, so he's quite a global guy here. And in the first half, we were discussing self-awareness and the fact that Hemant and I are two authors, part of 17 authors in the release of this new book, Unleashing Potential. And that's where this whole concept of self-awareness came from, because Hemant wrote the chapter on awareness in the book. But now I'd like us to turn over the discussion to corporate professionals in mid and senior management levels where they experience a midlife crisis. I find that a fascinating topic. Hemant, tell us about your experience with this.
Sure. So I'll take you back 20 years when I entered consulting, year 2005. And I had a great boss, great manager, and I was working very closely with him, and I learned a lot from him. And one of the things which I learned practically in the first month of being with him is the statement where he said, people rise to the highest level of their incompetence. I was like, that doesn't make sense. How will you rise? I mean, rising to a certain level and then incompetence. They were not. He said, you will understand. It took me a couple of years to understand that because he did not explain it to me. And I understood that as long as you are competent, you keep rising in the organization. You keep performing, you keep delivering, and you rise. Yeah. And then you reach a point beyond which you cannot deliver more. You cannot really play the role which is right above you. You cannot play your manager's role. And that's where you get stuck. And that's why it is said you rise to the highest level of your incompetence. Not that you became incompetent, you're not competent for the next role that is there. And this is what happens with a lot of people when they reach somewhere in the middle of like mid or senior level, senior management levels. They've reached a point where they do not have the skill set for the next level. Because when you look at an organizational hierarchy, at the bottom, you have got people who do work. Then you have got managers and senior managers who don't do anything. That's what we normally say. What their job is to get work done. That's the key difference. Above them is your senior management to top management. Their job is not to get work done. Their job is to decide what is that piece of work that you need to do.
Yeah.
They are defining the strategy of the organization, the direction of the organization. They are defining what is that work that we are going to do and then delegate to the managers and senior managers who will get it done with the bottom of the pyramid. And right at the top, the CXO level, the board, the owner, the founder, their role is vision. What is the vision of the organization? Where is this organization heading? Now, if you begin to understand in a very fine manner what these roles are, individuals will reach the highest level at which they will then get stuck. And it happens to the mid and senior management because from doing to getting it done, people rise. And then what is to be done is strategic. Unfortunately, you're not taught that, and it's not very easy to learn on the job either, because you have no direct exposure to it unless you had a great boss who would teach it to you. Or you get out of your career, do an MBA, do some advanced programs, and then get back into it with that understanding of what strategy is and so on and so forth. So that is where people get stuck. And typically in their 40s, people will get stuck in such a place. By the time they have kids, their marriage, they have been married for 10, 15 years, or probably in India to even 20 years, and so on and so forth. So they have got so many things, so many moving parts in life, and they are at a space where none of it is working right. A marriage which has gone on for 15 years, it has developed its some issues. Kids growing up, they are also turning rebellious. Financially, you are now worried about your kids' education, kids' marriage, your own house, future, long retirement. So you're like caught up between so many things, and your own career is kind of stagnating. You're not got a promotion for 3 to 5 years, and it's like you're trapped inside glass walls and glass ceilings. That's what midlife crisis is all about. It's as
So,
simple
okay,
and as
so
complicated as that.
got it. Thank you. So then, what will you do as a coach? Because you are the comfortably uncomfortable coach, right?
Yes. Yes.
How do you move people into that uncomfortable zone to get them out of that midlife crisis? What do you do?
Absolutely. Yes. Show them those walls. Show them those glass walls they have been ignoring and the glass ceiling.
Ah, okay.
Getting uncomfortable there is actually telling them and making them actually understand that they have reached the highest level of their incompetence,
Okay.
not just in work, but also in relationships. And that's a very, very difficult concept to digest,
Yes, it is.
right?
Yeah.
Even parenting, financial management, your spouse, at work, your relationship with your team members, your relationship with your management. All these places you are kind of getting blocked by those glass walls and ceilings, and to see them and understand what is hurting you. That is, I mean, I would say while it is the foundation of the coaching journey, pretty much the entire coaching journey is all about that. Constantly discovering all these elements which are blocking you and then doing something about it. So you can start with a very simple tool like the Wheel of Life, where it's a universal tool, simplest of all the tools, and according to me, the most powerful tool, coaching tool in the world. You do a self-assessment, find out which are the parts of life you are not happy with, and then start thinking about how do you make it happy.
That's right.
And
Yes.
each one has their own answers. I mean, you can't prescribe like, oh, do this, do this, do this. That's the beauty of coaching. You help people find their own answers. Some nudge is always there, but of course, the focus is find your own answers, understand the process of finding your own answers. Like if somebody has worked with me over a year, over a 2 year period, he shouldn't come back to me in 2 years' time that I need coaching again. Sorry, you now know how to crack it. You should be coming back to me after like another 5-10 years where you're like, okay, I'm in a very different phase of my life and now I'm stuck.
Right
So somebody who has worked with me to crack his career, I would expect him to come back to me around retirement saying, I've got retirement life ahead of me and I have no idea what to do with that. I said, okay, no problem. We'll crack that also.
Oh, that's wonderful. So basically, what I'm hearing you say is that the advice you give these people who are in a midlife crisis is to look at where you are now. What are those glass walls? Yeah, break the glass walls so that you can either climb up higher in the corporation or become an entrepreneur or do whatever you want to do, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know where this is coming in here, but we have, for a career transition, we have a wonderful tool that helps people look at everything they've done in their lives. And it could be, maybe they studied meditation. Let's say they're a CEO of a company. Maybe they studied meditation, or maybe they learned how to embroider, or maybe they learned how to carve ducks or whatever, right? I mean, people in those roles usually are super talented. They have so much that they could offer the world, but they kind of feel stuck in that, okay, I have to go to the office today and I have to create a strategic plan and I've got to help my team achieve these goals. And in the meantime, inside, they are starving for happiness and joy. They're starving because all they're just getting this boring type of work at the office. So I always try and encourage people to look outside. Maybe they like gardening, or maybe they like carving ducks or cooking or whatever, and bring that joy into their job.
Yes. The example which you gave, I can have a personal life example on this. When I take people through the coaching exercise, we always have this whole segment of goal setting. And I tell people you don't need just smart goals, you need smarter goals, where the ER is your emotional resonance with the goal. With all the clients I have worked with, most of them have said that they have felt most uncomfortable going through that phase. And they have blamed me directly for that. They have absolutely blamed me directly for that. Because I have managed to change their entire worldview of goals. For example, I ask, what are your goals? And a very common goal is to have a nice, large house. So, great. Then, of course, another one is I need to have a nice red Ferrari. I picked that one. I said, good. I like this one. So I asked him, just to clarify, what's your goal? He said, I want to buy a red Ferrari. I said, great. Once again, do you want to buy a red Ferrari or your goal is to drive a red Ferrari? It's like same thing. I said, no, they are different. He said, how? I said, okay, when will you buy your red Ferrari? I said, I've been saving money for the last 5 years. Another 15 years, I'll save money and then I'll be able to buy that. I said, great. When can you drive a red Ferrari? He said, after 15 years. No. I told him that you are in Dubai. You can get a Ferrari for rent.
Yeah, exactly.
For less than 1,000 dirhams, for less than $500. Now tell me, when can you drive a red Ferrari? He said, tomorrow. I said, okay, rethink your goal. He said, oh, I still want to buy a red Ferrari. I said, okay, fine. When you buy the Ferrari after 15 years, will you be happy? He said, I will be like top of the world. I will be most happy. I said, great. 3 days after you have bought your Ferrari, will you be happy? He said, obviously. I said, no, not obvious. You have been telling yourself for 20 years, buy a red Ferrari, buy a red Ferrari, buy a red Ferrari. You bought the Ferrari, you have been happy. Now what? You haven't conditioned yourself for feeling happy by driving a red Ferrari.
Right on. I love it. I love it.
And then it changes.
Good. Yeah.
Same thing for the house. People keep telling themselves, I want to buy a house, They don't visualize themselves living in the house, living a great life. So the way you look at goals, the way you have interpreted or visualize your goals has to change. A lot of our goals have become very achievement oriented. It's like I have to get that thing. Most of the goals are worded like that, are defined. The language has become like that. There's so much of competition around the corporate life. There's a race to get things. Our language has become to get things. Brands talk about getting customers, like attracting, or they talk about eyeballs, marketing terminology. It's just taken the human out of the entire equation and made it a mathematical science. That happens to our language. So even the language becomes very important. The language which is used in goal setting, extremely important.
Well, thank you, Hemant. I think the big message I'm getting out of this second part here is that with our goals, it's important that we connect with them emotionally. Absolutely. So we can visualize what they are, because then when we achieve those goals, we can deeply appreciate them, right? We can. Absolutely. We know what they are. Well, thank you, sir, for bringing your knowledge and wisdom, and I look forward to continue to work with you on our new book, Unleashing Potential, and we'll talk again soon. Thank you so much for joining Raj and I today. Thank you.